Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and good morning, and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success. You are tuned in with your host, Mrs. Diane Winbush, founder and president of National Extraordinary Professional Women's. Our show was actually created and designed to give all professional women tools and training, resources, education, and empowerment to enhance the growth and development of their business. This way, women can be able to log on into the show, dial into the show where they can be able to listen to professional women from all over the globe, where they can be able to gain these tools and resources for entrepreneurship to advance. Even if they want to become a CEO, this would be able to help them to gear them into the right direction. Today we have with us Ms. Sandi Mitchell, president and founder of Apex Leadership Coaching. We are so delighted that she took an opportunity to be our guest for today. So we want to first welcome her on and first let her give you a few little information tools about how she got started with Apex Leadership Coaching.
Hey, Diane, thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And hello to all of you listening to the show. So let me tell you a little bit about my history. I think that may be an easy way to slide into this. So the last job that I had, I spent 17 years at Sabre. Y'all may know it as one of our subsidiaries is Travelocity. If you're international, the subsidiary is lastminute.com. And the last 7 years of it, they asked me to create a corporate university inside the technology department. And by the time I finished, I had about 4,200 people in 46 countries. And I found that I was doing a whole lot of coaching these technical people who have become leaders, primarily because they were great individual contributors, right? And so I wanted to figure out how to really do it in a way that was most efficient, effective, and compelling for them. So I got my coaching certification and absolutely loved what I was doing and decided I was going to go off on my own. So last March, I started my own executive coaching, speaking, and training company. And I focus primarily on emotional intelligence in leadership.
Wow, that is great. A lot of times that's, I think, kind of gets women started. Sometimes we may start from another initiative, and that will drive us into another door. And so that's kind of how I've gotten started with working with women. It started from one thing. I'm like, okay, then let me just move on from this. I know I can do better than this. Or you can have something that's driven so that you'll be like, okay, now that is, I don't want to get stuck here in this job. I can be able to do something to be able to impact people even the more. Wow, perfect. So the next thing we would like to ask you, Sandi, is what was the driven passion? I know you just kind of summed a little bit of it up in the first question, but what was it that kind of just turned that doorknob for you to just really start out on your own?
Well, to be honest, it was a necessity, right? So I had worked at Sabre for 17 years, and then there were some reorganizations that happened in the company, and my team and I got moved under a different group, and I was laid off. So I had a 3-year exit plan, and so that I could leave Sabre making the same amount of money that I was making there as an executive coach, and instead of 3 years, it was 3 months. Which really turned out great, though, right? Because I had been there forever, so I had great severance. And I had my coaching certification, and they had also paid for my MBA. So for laying me off, Sabre did a lovely thing for me. And I think that's part of what it is, right? When women start businesses, they either do it out of necessity or they do it out of great desire, and I had both. My necessity was I needed money. My great desire is I didn't want to go back to working for corporate, and I absolutely loved what I did at work. And so I figured out how to make that something that was a real business. And I really feel like I can help even more people now at an even deeper level.
Oh, wow, that is exceptional. I was at a symposium last year, and of course the room was filled with politics, and there was other individuals that were sitting there, and they had branched out actually into their own business, such as, yourself. So one of the gentlemen had got up, and he was working for FedEx, and he told his supervisor, said, look, I'm bringing you all about at least 60% of your clientele inside of this business. I'm pretty sure that he worked with something on the terms of advertising and marketing for FedEx. And so they was like, well, give us 65. So they wanted more out of him that he was already, giving them. So what he did was he just, look, I'm going to step out on my own. I know I can do better than what you are already, giving me. And then I'm giving this to you, and you want more out of what I've already given. So that's what he did. He stepped out into his own advertising company, and of course he was giving us as entrepreneurs at the event, tools and resources of how to manage their money and different little things like that. So I think that matters. So even though I am the founder of 2 organizations and a church as well, but I still find myself going to networking venues. That kind of helps me to get more, put a little bit more up under my belt. I don't want to get to the point where I think, well, you know what, I have already reached my potential. No, I want to be able to still start growing. So when you said that and you explained all of that, and that's what made me think about the gentleman on the FedEx timeline. He had left FedEx. FedEx pays a lot of money, and I'm pretty sure, he's working, in the office sector. And I said, wow, he was willing to leave all of that just to be able to start his business. So that's what just kind of rung a bell when you was talking about that. So great, Sandi. Okay, so now what would a potential client receive from your coaching expertise, such as online, or if they're coming in and requesting a one-on-one coaching service?
Yes, absolutely. I have several different areas that people can come in. The 2 groups of people that I work with are primarily women in both groups. The first group are women business owners. I really like working with women business owners. I'm one of the faculty members for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. And one of the things that I found fascinating, there's many things there, but one of the things that they said that I thought was just wrong, Diane, is that, in corporations, most women make about 78, 79, 80% of what men make. When women go off and create their own businesses, most of them pay themselves 78, 79, 80% less than their male counterparts. Isn't that stunning? And so going through training, going through something like the Goldman Sachs program, going through coaching with me, women quickly say, hey, wait, I started my business so that I can get paid what I'm worth, so that I can share the greatness that my product or my service can give. And so they are able to increase their income, they're able to increase revenue for their business, and they're able to increase the number of jobs, which I think is fabulous. So what I do in one-on-one coaching is I really work with women leaders on how do you create the strategic plan to achieve the vision that you have for your company. And then I help hold you accountable for doing that. I have a whole process that I take women through.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Now, this is for the callers, which they are muted, but share with them how would you, as a business owner, now I know you do speaking, how would they be able to connect with you? Take, for instance, we'll say that you live in Arizona, and they want you to be able to come in and do perhaps a speaking event for them. How would they be able to get you cross country?
Oh, yeah. I do training all over the world and speaking,
Okay.
and so you just reach out and we'll make sure that we connect. That's easy to do.
Okay. Okay. Next, we would like to ask you, Sandi, how does you balance work? Because a lot of times women have a lot of workload. Some women are we're not going to say stay at home moms, but a lot of women, they tend to have children at home. They tend to have spouses or insignificant others at home, and they're trying to jog the work. They're at the top of the branch. They're the CEO. They're all of this. So how do you, as a professional founder and president of an organization which is so great, how do you juggle that with your social career as well?
Yeah, it's exciting and tough, right?
Okay.
when you have so many demands on your time, and so that's one of the aspects that I talk about for those who need it is time management. How do you really, as we're going through, one of the things I work with my clients is how do you make sure that you focus on the right things? Because most of us have really good things that are in our calendars, really good things that we can choose from. The thing is, for us to be successful, we want to focus on the things that are great for us, not just good. And so what that means is being able to focus on what's the one thing in business that's really important. What's the one thing from your family perspective that's really important? There's an example, there's a book called The One Thing, and Gary Keller, I think his name is, wrote the book. And he talks about how all of us have balls that we're throwing up in the air, right? Some of the balls are rubber, some of the balls are glass. Our family is a glass ball, right? So you want to make sure that you protect that ball as you're throwing it in the air. Sometimes our career can be like the rubber ball. It'll bounce. It may get scuffed, but it'll bounce more than our family will bounce. So really making sure how are we able to time block. You know, they say you can tell what you're really committed to by looking at your checkbook. Those who still use checkbooks, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with your calendar. You can really tell what what you're committed to by your calendar. I use colors because I'm very visual. So I have certain colors that are family-oriented, some colors that are business-oriented, some colors that are social-oriented. And I look, do I have enough of a balance?
Right.
Or is my family and myself really small on the calendar? Then I have to redo my calendar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times when we read blogs, I love to read blogs about social impact, social living, and what have you. And so when I read them, and then I look at the women, and they try to, and sometimes if you're on a social platform, you'll get a chance to give information through discussions about, to women about how do you do this, how do you do that. So I guess that's the reason why that topic or that subject kind of came up. I'd be looking for ways of asking women, as I give information to women as well, of how to be able to balance work, and then it's so much, and then you have to come home, and then you have to be able to, you still can't wind down, not all the way, because you've already put the effort toward the 8 to 5. Now you have to come home and be able to balance that as well. So I think that is very important for women to be able to know how to strategize both of them, family as well as work, that one don't burn the other one out. Very great, very great. Very great. So how has social media, if any, how has social media been a huge impact as far as your business is concerned? Because me, being a somewhat beginner, I'm not versed in social media as far as some individuals, 6 years and 7 years, but I have learned on my social media journey that it gives you a lot of more opportunity to network and to find other individuals that may be doing the same thing that you're doing, or they can be able to help you to grow your potential on social media. So how has social media been an impact to Apex leadership coaching?
Yeah, that's funny, Diane. Because one of the things in the beginning that I just hated the idea that I would have to spend time doing social media when I could spend it doing other stuff, right? I fought it and fought it and fought it. And finally, I have a web guy who's connected all of my social media together. So when I do one thing, it connects into all the others, and which made it tremendously easier for me, right? And one of the things that I found as I started going through this, and he's also the one, he's the one that made me open up my Facebook to people that are not my friends, to people who are potential clients, right? People who are prospects, people who are, outside my, because I really kept my Facebook. Facebook was for friends, LinkedIn was for work, right? And he made me open it up. He literally made me open it up to all these other people, because what he said was, and I thought this was profound, people who you work with want to know that you're a real person and not just a business. Right. And so, I mean, I'm not one of those that gets drunk and does all the crazy things and puts it out on Facebook, right? And so I talk about my dogs, I talk about my family, and I talk about things that I'm doing. And what I found is he's exactly right. Like, I just got a client last week that we knew each other years ago from, like 3 jobs ago. And she said, oh, you know what, seeing all the things that you're posting on Facebook, all the things that you're doing with Apex Leadership, it made me want to reach out and see if you could help me. And so she's a client now. And that would have never happened if it hadn't been for Facebook.
Wow, that is interesting, because that has never been one of my choices with social platform. But then after I had to think about it, I said, now, if I really want to grow, people don't know you until you open up your mouth. You got to open up something in order for people to be able to learn, and I can't stand it. I said, no, I cannot do this. I cannot do Twitter. I cannot do Facebook. I cannot do LinkedIn. But that's when the business, for me now, that's when the business kind of became, I would say, stuck, if I could use that word. And until I began to open up these accounts to be able to network and talk to people and things like that. And if it's nothing but just sharing just one little word, absolutely, or good morning or something like that, that brings a lot of engagement to other businesses. But I was like, I cannot do this. But that's a part of my work day. That is, I mean, social media is a part of my work day. I have to get there and get on it, and I have to network, and I have to, and it's not just basically that. It's also, planning venues where I can be able to network with other people as well. So, I said some people are different, and I said, well, that's one of the questions I always ask the women is about this social media, and so far the response have became, very, very overwhelming. So now, do you offer tutorials or have like a YouTube channel that the callers and listeners can be able to subscribe to in order to follow you further in your business with Apex?
Yes, absolutely. You can even go to my website, Apex, APEX, leadershipcoaching.com. And if you go to the blog page, one of the things that my web guy did is all the things that I upload to my YouTube channel are automatically added to my website. So you can go here and click on the videos. So I have that. I also have a workshop that I do. Got one starting November 25th. It's called Stop Your Inner Critic and Become an Extraordinary Leader. Because we have, this war going on in our brain between the inner critic and the inner genius. And I help you increase your inner genius and decrease your inner critic.
Okay, so that's November the 26th?
25th, Tuesday.
25th, okay, 25th. Okay, great, awesome.
Yeah, and
awesome.
You'll see that on the website.
Great. So, regarding books, I would say, have you written any books pertaining to the leadership coaching that you have developed over the several months or years that you have been in business? And also, what type of books could you, I guess, suggest for the callers that would be able to help them in as far as entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of writing a book now. That's one of the things that I have committed to doing. So I am I plan on being done by the end of March. I have a lot of blogs, so y'all can go out and read my blogs. But as far as entrepreneurs, there's several things that I think are really good. There's Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you've heard of him. He has a
Yes.
program called Financial Peace University. He also has a book called EntreLeadership that I thought was a really good book, a different way of looking at entrepreneurship. I also, because I'm a leadership coach, I really look a lot at things like what's the manager's role as coach, because I try to teach leaders how to become coaches in their business. My sweet spot, Diane, is to move leaders from being a leader of followers to being a leader of leaders.
Wow.
And so what I try to do is I try to help women get to the point where they no longer have to make every decision in their business, where they've put the right key people and key leaders in place that they can work closely with their key leaders, and the key leaders can handle the day-to-day business. So the entrepreneur can really focus on the strategy and the vision and the big clients. So I think a lot of work around, like emotional intelligence, I do a lot of work around that. There's a book called Emotional Intelligence, and there's another one called Resonant Leadership. I think both of those are very good.
Oh, wow. Well, we have just delighted ourselves today with Miss Sandi to be our guest on Women Who Rock with Success. She is the president and founder of Apex Leadership Coaching. So we want to take these tools and resources that she has given us so much today. I'm trying to hold all of it in my hand at one time, but we are so grateful that she was able to take time to give you some leadership tools and resources, and we would like for you all to follow up with her on her website, as she has already stated, at www.apexleadership.com. Am I right? Did I say that right, Sandi?
It's apexleadershipcoaching.com.
Okay, and we want you to follow up with her and be able to see what you can find on her website and scroll down and give her a call. We are so delighted that we are able to work with women every week on this show. Again, we thank you so much, Sandi, for being our guest on today. And until next week, we will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.